up in their bed before, I think now they've got no choice to be awake, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's so much going on lately. It's everywhere. It's on TV. It's online. It's when you walk down the street. You have no choice but to wake up and see that something isn't really right here, or there's a massive change coming.
You see, the thing is, you know, and we heard this when COVID first hit, that, you know, we just want things to go back to normal. And that's the thing. Some people are just waiting for the day when things are back to normal.
Yeah.
But really, will anything ever really go back to normal, as you call normal?
No.
What do you think?
I think that this is, even the whole social distancing, that's a part of the new normal that we'll be going through. In terms of the society, there is no such, to me, there's no such thing as normal anyway. But moving forward, it's like we're moving into an unknown space. So we don't really know what the new normal is going to be like, but it's definitely not going to be the same as it was before.
And you see, this is the thing, when one human being allows another to dictate what their life is going to look like, you know, it's the heights of Zenemti. You know, we saw a few of the cases where those who are in power, who, you know, put across these rules that, you know, you don't leave your house, you don't do this, you don't do that. And then while all the masses are busy obeying the rules, they're doing the opposite.
Yeah.
You know, and this is the reality. This is the reality in which we're living. The rules are made, and those who can break the rules or abide by the rules that they set for themselves, you know. And I just wonder, how long will humanity allow themselves to be steered and cajoled by another human being? It's just another person, and these few control the many. How long before each and every human being realizes they have as much right to be here than anyone else? No one has any more, you know, rights to be here. Interesting times. Well, yes, so, you know, the Wisdom of the Nile show does just that. Brings wisdom from the ancestors, wisdom from the ancients, and we are able to do that because of our prophet, who we call Nebnaba Lamusa Morandenibeg, who gave his life. He sacrificed himself for this movement, knowing that the time, and as the temples know, that the time is coming where humanity, which is the very reason why the temples came out into the West, why Nebnaba brought the initiation out into the West, why he brought the knowledge from the Dagomba temples into the West, because humanity is at a stage where if they don't watch their step, you know, they're going to go over the cliff. They're going to go over, like, you know, they have these Flemings that if one jumps over, everybody else follows, is it the Flemings they're called? I think so. They just follow blindly. Even if the leader goes over the cliff, they're going over the cliff, you know. And the temples, you know, give thanks. They saw it fit to send the knowledge out here. So we have had the opportunity to learn, and Jodi here is currently going through initiation. She is in Per Ankh, and we're going to hear from you shortly, actually, a bit about your journey and what even brought you to that what brought you into initiation. But yes, so those of us here who've had the honor really of being exposed to unadulterated, pure, traditional Merita, or you'd say African knowledge. And wow, it's been a journey, for myself. It's been at least 7 years and counting, and every time, take another step, it's like you're just beginning. It's like, and it will do. I mean, if you're talking about thousands of years, if you're talking about, a calendar that, stretches how many thousands of years that was being used in ancient Kemet, that what you've hit upon is like, yeah, huge. So we're going to be sharing with you wisdom from the Kemetic temples this evening, and we are back on live again now. So every week we will be sharing wisdom from the Nile, wisdom from the initiatic schools. This is myself this week. Next week, or next strong, our brother Nehipsa will be in the studio again, having the privilege to share the wisdom of our ancestors. So I'm just going to play a little music and we're going to be right on the other side. Yes, that was the sound of the Voodoo drums. We have to let the drums roll to bring that energy, that Merita energy into the place. So, I'm really happy to have my sister here with me, and she said she's willing. She stepped up to the plate. She's recently come into initiation over the last few months. She's in the per ank stage, but she stepped up to the plate and said she would be willing to come in and co-host. So that's good, because normally I'm in here on my own unless I have guests. So it will be good to me sharing the space with my sister at least for the next few months. So Jodi Ann, it's the first time our listeners are going to hear you on this platform. And we haven't been on for a while, so it's actually good to just kind of let us know, in this space here now, a little bit about your journey, how you even came into initiation. What was your journey? Why did you even come into initiation?
Okay. I've always been interested in spiritual things, crystals, meditation, a lot of praying, but it wasn't the Kemetic kind. It was more so from a Christian point of view, where I'd spend a lot of time praying on my knees, 25 minutes in the morning and in the evening. And I had like a spiritual mentor previously, and I had needed to get some work done, so she introduced me to Hatim Buapti. And did some work. It was great. And one day we were driving, and he gave me a flyer. It was the orientation day flyer, and all I saw on that flyer was meditation, free event. I was like, what, free? I'm coming. And he was like, that's what caught your eye? I was like, yeah. So that whole week I was kind of like, yeah, it's a meditation event, I'm coming. I was really excited about it because it was something new. Because the lady I worked with previously was the same kind of meditation. So for me, I wanted to see something else. I told my sister, I was like, yeah, let's go. I'm really excited. So anyway, got to the event, and it was a meditation.
It certainly is a meditation.
I just had people talking, and because I'm interested in herbal things as well. And I saw the Hatini speaking about the Medi Mayit, talking about Katibi, the original yoga, and philosophy. I was like, yeah, I really like this. And the Sun was about the traditional healing. So I was like, oh yeah, I really want to do this. But then it was also like, can I fit it in with everything else that I'm doing? And I was sitting there, and they were like, I think you were saying, oh, who would like to sign up? And my hand, I was there, and I was like, oh, should I put my hand up? Oh, I don't know. And then I put my hand up. I was like, let me just do it. And honestly, it's been the best decision I've made. It's been challenging, but if spirituality is about yourself and growing and changing your life, it's the right thing to do, and changing yourself is never easy. But that's why I'm doing it, really. And also my ancestors guided me there. So how can I turn around and say, well, I don't want to do that? Because my initial thing was I didn't want to do spiritual work anymore. But they said, no, Jodi, you're going. So I think for me, one of the things I've had to grow to realize since being in initiation is that I'm not in control of anything. And having to let that go it's been a journey. It's been a journey.
Yeah, because that was going to be the other thing I was going to ask you, in your journey. So you've been in initiation how long now?
So we started in February, so it's now July. 4 months.
Counting the fingers. 4 months, that's right.
Yeah.
So you've been in, and how has it been for you? I mean, from when you first came in, I don't know what you expected. Maybe you could share, what you thought it was going to be and how it is for you now.
I expected it to be written work. I'm really good at writing stuff down and being organized because my day job, I'm a teacher. I'm really good at that stuff, being academic and learning things. But it's the spiritual part of it, of abiding by the 77 and making sure people don't draw you out, and it's that kind of thing that is challenging, because it's like you're used to, well, for me anyway, I'm used to going back to my default setting a lot of the time. And I'm finding that I can't do that anymore. And I'm like, why don't I want to go back there? And it's almost like I used to feel like I was really strong. But now I'm strong, but not in the way that I perceived strength to be. Yeah.
That's powerful. And, the fact, what you're saying is, it changes the core of you for the better.
Yeah. And it is uncomfortable. But it's kind of like a mum telling you this is what you need to do, and you're like, but why do I have to do that? But then you do it anyway, and you go, okay, all right, then I see why she told me to do that. And it is a process. We're not perfect, but where we have guidelines to follow, and we, I read the Firefly quite a bit, reading the stories from that.
And what's the Firefly?
The Rising Firefly is one of is the magazine for within them time. Yeah,
that's right.
Reading that has really solidified a lot of things for me in terms of why I'm here, where I'm going, what kind of woman I want to be, what kind of initiate I want to be, what kind of human being I want to be. And that, again, backs up everything that we learn in class also. So it's been a journey, but we've only just begun. So
it definitely is a journey. And again, that's why I had to first of all acknowledge Nemnaba, because I mean we only have that because he gave his life really so that we could grow, we could live, and that's that's so beautiful. That's I'm just ever thankful, because it's a wonderful it's a wonderful umbrella to be under, and to be always learning that you can feed from it. And especially, and I know in your classes it said that the fact that you're in initiation at this time when all of this happened. I mean, how was that for you? I mean,
I was actually thinking about this yesterday. I was thinking to myself, if I wasn't in initiation, how would this lockdown, the COVID, the George Floyd stuff, how would that have affected me? And I think it would have been completely different. And where we learn a lot of things about, I guess, emotional control, etc. It's having to understand that everything is going on. It's, I guess, it's a tragedy, and the energy out there is really heavy right now. But where we have the tools we've been given, it's been a lot easier to manage myself in this. It's a period of uncertainty, basically.
Yeah, the period of uncertainty, to be honest, in the world.
Yeah.
When you're standing on this ground, you get to stand with much more surety, and that is the blessing of having the initiation, because when the boat's being rocked, you're standing on ground. In fact, the temples had already told us that the times that we're going to go into and what we need to expect in terms of treading water. So we were aware that it was coming up, just didn't realize it was going to hit like that so soon. So again, that's why our ancestors, they didn't leave us alone. They didn't leave us to face this situation alone, face what's going on alone. So it's it really is a blessing to be able to be a part of this and to be able to share, because again, being on the radio, what it allows to be done is it allows what the little that we have, because it really is a little the little that we have, to be able to share it again to someone else, so that somebody else can grasp the baton and feed themselves and grow and then pass it on, because that's what it is. You want to pass it on
to other people. And for me, it's even in the initiation, when I go home or I speak to I have 5 sisters, but I'm close with one of them, and I'm close to all of them, but there's one that's like my best friend.
That's nice.
So I would talk and I'd be like, okay, have you considered this? Or when we learn about time, for example, like, have you considered this? And she's like, oh no, I didn't think about it like that. So it's like initiation. It's like you had a veil on before, and initiation on lifts that veil off, and you see what's really going on. And I feel like for me, it's important to share, even if it's just little nuggets of something to people around me, for us all to grow and grow in the same direction.
And that's what it's about, because we're in serious times. There's no doubt. I mean, the whole world watch, when you saw the scenes, when you see what's happening, the topic for today is actually 2,000 years of lies. And there's so many things during this last few months that you're just looking in disbelief. But even in these times here, when George Floyd, God rest his soul, but his death being the tipping point, and the fact that it's still going on, so many things are happening out there, and the repercussions of that. But I think before I go into that, I want to read this passage from the podium, and it's called 2000 Years of Lies, and then maybe we can pick up on what we were saying afterwards.
Yeah.
You know, would you like to read? Or actually, I'll read, and then we'll have you'll be doing other things,
Okay.
won't you, Jodi, for
Yes.
today? So okay, we're not gonna pack you up at the moment. We're gonna have enough. Okay, so this is a chapter in the philosophy podium. It can also be found in the Rising Firefly, volume 73. Yeah. Volume 73, the article from the podium can be found in the Firefly. It says, after 2,000 years of indoctrination, 2,000 years of shifting values, it is time we stopped for a moment and created some balance inside what we call the modern system. Honesty forbids us any indulgence. It is the destiny of humanity that is on the table. If there is any individual on earth who feels hurt or frustrated by the negative portrayal of this system, I would honestly suggest that at the same time he or she try to become responsible for bringing corrections to the system. It makes no sense to simply direct our frustrations against somebody else. There are some things that nobody really talks about, even though we know who is responsible for such things. It is clear that the enslavement of people of color was not an error of human history. It is one aspect of a whole system of oppression and destruction of humankind. This system presents many faces behind which it hides. It is very important to notice, before we continue these analyses, the case with which the white subrace identifies itself with a system of oppression does not discriminate or count any race or subrace out of the list of people to destroy. The famous divide and conquer really succeeded in this context, to the point where every time one group of people complains about the savagery of this system, another group of people, equally victims to the same system, will respond like owners of the system. This system is the real devil, transcending racial and individual barriers and exploiting the hysterical nature of the human being. A few centuries ago, when the conquistadors arrived on the American continent, they found black and indigenous people practicing their religions. The most shocking fact recorded by the conquistadors themselves was that they killed thousands of people because they, the black people, were practicing human sacrifice. Now, we can ask ourselves, who in reality was inhabited by the devil? One of the most important aspects of the ideological movement of the last 2 millennia is the emergence of the so-called holy wars. We tend to look at those holy wars as painful episodes of human history. The holy wars are not as far from us as we would like to think. The logic that led to these wars is maintained and continually fed with ideology by this new system. There is no individual who is more dangerous than the one who thinks he is right, and our leaders know that. This is why every change of attitude does not happen without presumed victims. In this system, every individual is taught to feel he or she is right. When any church sends missionaries worldwide, its leaders know the dilemmas in which they are putting other people. Most missionaries think they are so right that they are willing to sacrifice themselves to accelerate the process of the destruction of another culture. You are called barbaric if you reject them, and your identity dies if you accept them. That is what is waiting for the world. Even on the individual level, barbarism and anti-culturalism, which started 2,000 years ago. There are no individuals more dangerous than the ones who believe they are right. There is no society more dangerous than the one that believes it's absolutely right. There are many examples in the world to analyze. Let's look at the most recent and the most famous that we describe today with so much fashionable horror. Hitler. If at any moment in his life Hitler had doubted the quality of Nazism, he would have spared the lives of many Jews and people of color. Now that we think we are on the right path, maybe the devil that inhabited Hitler simply changed sides and is now the carrier of the new system. If we just look around, we can see so much which in a very small way succeeds in pointing fingers at what we call